Time, and this is Colin Sexton, Alabama, taking it the length from the court to beat Texas A&M and most likely sending Bama to the tournament.
Shades of Tyus Edney in the NCAA tournament against Missouri about 20 years ago. Coast-to-coast buzzer-beating layup.
Man, off the wrong foot, a floater. I know this guy right here just wanted to grab the ball. Yeah. The response of Avery Johnson was amazing, too.
Yep.
2 hands lifted.
Celtics, T-Wolves, Karl Anthony Towns dunks all over Aaron Baines.
Aaron Baines,
man bun.
You got to retire. Them's the rules, bro. You wear a man bun and you get boomed on like that, you got to turn in your card.
Boston clinched a playoff spot with this win. It's a big night for them.
And this was a great shot right here. And he got fouled.
Finally, Spurs Warriors, JaVale McGee does JaVale McGee kind of things.
Oh, yeah. But they got to keep Zaza. Got to get Zaza 6 minutes a game when you got JaVale who can do that without injuring people.
Well, yeah, McGee is very intriguing. You know, I mean, he gets you excited, and then he's getting ready to do some dumb 2 or 3 things. Not 1, 2 or 3 things.
You know what's so interesting about JaVale? A really, really smart guy off the court and plays.
That's a job hazard, though. Okay. That'd be like, hey, Nick is really smart in the offense.
Okay.
But on TV,
Okay. Moving on to LeBron James. So on the court, he says he's playing at an all-time high. Off the court, he says he's still figuring out what he's doing next season. And somewhere in between, he's just living the life. Reportedly, LeBron is considering his hometown Cavs, the Lakers, the Rockets out west, and the youthful 76ers as possible destinations for next season. Let's kick this off with Nick, who knows a thing or two about LeBron James. Where do you think he should play next year?
Well, if they win the title in Cleveland, he will stay in Cleveland. We have no precedent in NBA history of a player leading a team, being the best player on a championship team, and then playing somewhere else the next year. But I also think that is the only way in which he stays in Cleveland. So where should he go, assuming he's leaving, assuming the Cavs don't win the title? I believe the best option is Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia gives him the best combination of chance of winning along with not tarnishing his legacy at all. Because if James Harden wins the MVP, and if the Rockets make the NBA Finals or win the NBA championship, him going there is not the greatest of looks for a guy who is, at the very least, the 2nd or 3rd greatest player of all time and maybe the greatest player of all time. So I don't think the Lakers are close enough to winning. I think Houston might be too close to winning unless they totally flame out in the postseason. So it's like this porridge too hot, this porridge too cold.
The Three Little Bears.
Yeah, Three Little Bears. Thank you. I knew you'd appreciate it with your daughters. Like, this one's right in the middle. This one's perfect. Goldilocks. That's it. That's what it was. Thank you. Go ahead, Chris Carter.
Was it also the Three Little Bears, right?
Yeah, Goldilocks and Three Little Bears.
Less than 24 hours ago, you looked in that TV and said, I'm the smartest guy on TV.
Yeah,
and now you came up with the 3 and needed help from Jim.
I couldn't remember. I didn't say my recall of nursery rhymes.
That's what LeBron James does to you. Takes you back to the nursery rhymes.
Okay.
All these teams could really have a case. Start with the Lakers, probably rumored that LeBron would be heading there. He has off-season 1 or 2 homes there. Magic Johnson taking over. So, yeah, it's a nice, little, juicy little story. Him going back to Cleveland, I believe going back to Cleveland, as Nick said, is a greater chance if they win. I believe also there's a greater enhancement to his legacy if he stays there in Cleveland. Because I believe regardless if he wins another one in Cleveland, he will always be remembered for going to Miami but coming back home. And then it'd just be a matter of compiling how many numbers, how many finals, how many championships does he have. I believe Houston is probably very, very intriguing. I can understand the Harden, but I just believe from an ownership, from a management standpoint, I believe there can be a connective ability between their new owner, who runs the team, Daryl Morey,
right,
and LeBron and his overall basketball IQ. Because I believe that, I don't know this personally, Houston said they're consumed with Golden State.
Right.
And right below that, I believe that they're consumed with trying to get LeBron James. So his ability to be able to be in partnership with a rich guy compared to the relationship he has in Cleveland, in a partnership with Daryl Morey, because LeBron is into the X's and O's. He's into the analytics. He's into basketball. So I could see his mind being cultivated, being there on the backside of his career. Now, Philadelphia, I believe, is the most intriguing. I don't believe him and Ben Simmons on the court at the same time. Necessarily they enhance each other's skill sets because both of them drive to the basket. They need several other shooters, but it's very, very intriguing. LeBron with Joel Embiid as Joel Embiid enters into his prime, learning from LeBron. So all a very, very good situation. I believe he stays in Cleveland, though. They have the best chance of keeping him.
Well, selfishly, like you talk about all the time, you're on the East Coast. You don't get to see him if he goes to the West Coast.
Yeah.
It's really difficult. So I asked you, Nick, is there an East-West factoring component to this? Like, who would the league, like, what would be best for the league?
The best for the league is that he does not go out west. The best.
It doesn't matter if it's the Sixers or the Cleveland.
No. I think the best for the league is that he stays in the Eastern Conference. The league is so concerned that he may go out west. I believe that's one of the main reasons they floated the idea we could change the playoff format, because you don't want to have, if LeBron goes out west, and you know how much I love ranking players, of your top 8 players in the league, the only one who's in the Eastern Conference is Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he's 23 years old. Like, you would have 7 of your top 8 players in the Western Conference. That wouldn't be ideal. You said something about Houston being potentially consumed with LeBron James and about their new owner, Tillman Fertitta. People don't know Leslie Alexander owned the team when they won the championships with Akeem Olajuwon. He sold the team right before this season. Tillman Fertitta, his brother, he's family members with the people, the Fertitta brothers in the UFC. Tillman owns the Golden Nugget casinos. He also does like $1 Billion Buyers, some show on TV that people know on, I think, HGTV. Has a ton of money and is super involved. He was sitting in front of us courtside at the Nets game here in Brooklyn. He is really interested in being a hands-on owner. You mentioned Daryl Morey. I don't think this is revealing a confidence because it was 6 years ago, but I sat down with Daryl 6 years ago talking analytics, and I asked him, because they have a lot of proprietary models they build on grading players. And he said, listen, there's no perfect formula. And this was when LeBron was at the peak of his offensive and defensive powers. He said, there's no perfect formula, but I'll tell you this much. Whenever a guy comes in, we're trying to hire, or a guy that works for us and builds a model, there's one test we always do. Does LeBron grade out as the best? If not, your model's broken. That's how highly Daryl thought of LeBron.
And that was 6 years ago.
Prior to LeBron winning titles. Back, you know what I mean, when LeBron first got to Miami. Houston would love to have him. And me, selfishly, guy that still owns a home in Houston, used to live there, I like that as well. Cece, Harden's going to win the MVP this year. The Rockets might have the best record. There will be a lot of how different is this? And Durant going to the Warriors.
And you're consistent in what you said as far as Steph and KD. And when KD went there, the class that it put him in, or what he wasn't allowed to do after that. And with all the criticism of LeBron, it's not the best for him to join Harden, because we know what people would say after that.
Shockingly, this will not be the last time we talk about where LeBron is going next season. Coming up.
But Philly getting themselves in it is a story.
You're absolutely right.
Philly getting themselves on that list is a big story.
We're still talking NFL offseason. Have the Rams offseason, has it catapulted them ahead of the Eagles in the NFC? That's next on First Things First.
Don't want to fight their corners. I know that.
Well,
how do you want to live? As a decent person? Good husband? Is that it? Good? Of course not. King of the hill? Better. Top of your game? Win. All powerful. Like a boss. Like a pro. We couldn't agree more. We are professional grade. Step up to GMC with over